Okay, so I want to get into the storyline of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Not only that, but just tap into some more things that I feel ties, because everything is connected. So one thing leads to another. And so here we go. So basically, everyone probably knows of the different storylines of like Annabelle and Conjuring Part 1 and 2. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they also had the Amityville and also the Hunting in Connecticut as well. If you have not checked these movies out, these are like really good movies. If you're into like the horror films, and I feel they also have like a lot of good knowledge in them as well. And so basically, like when I had felt called to look into his death world, he came to me actually in one of the previous videos that I've done on just how entities try to attach themselves to our family lineage, and he wanted me to like tap into some things, not only that but tap into what actually happened to him during his death. I did feel that something fishy could have been surrounded around it as well, so for my own purposes I wanted to look into it as well. And so they basically stated how okay, I guess for those who do not know who Ed and Lorraine Warren is, these were two couples who used to go around and kind of cleanse the energy and spaces of people who had haunted homes or haunted objects and different things like this. They basically tracked and hunted down demonic entities and spirits to help families. They also spoke on how Ouija boards and tarot cards and psychics are often entry points for many of these beings, meaning that when you tap into these type of divination tools, you can subject yourself to entities or different beings attaching themselves to you, which is true. But they also stated as well that it depends on the person not only using it, but the entity or spirit that is behind it that they are trying to contact. Most people pick up these type of tools and just instantly like, I want to connect the spirit, and don't really know who it is that they're really, trying to connect to, or they're not really tapped in no type of way, shape, or form to even be picking up these type of tools. So then you subject yourself to entities being able to trick you and latch yourselves onto you, which is why it's important to not skip the stages and steps, and to know that you were first connected with spirit, not only with spirit but your own spirit guides, and have some type of discernment before picking up these type of tools. I'm going to play two different videos of theirs from an interview that they had, so you guys can kind of get a feel for them. Not only that, but I feel like they tapped into some really like good things in these videos.
In back of him in a car, and she's yelling, "What's the matter with you? Couldn't you see that woman? Couldn't you see her?" And the cop says, "There is no woman." She looks under the truck. She jumps back in her car and she takes off. That was a solidification which occurred because the atmosphere was full of electromagnetic energy and electricity. The electricity was used to solidify this ghost to the extent it was almost like cement. A lot of times when you're in a haunted house and you try to walk stairs or come downstairs, all of a sudden you hit a block, a solid wall. That's because the atmosphere solidified to that extent. Only the other night there was a case of where a family would go into this room and their sheets would be cut to ribbons. The pillows would be cut to ribbons. They were frightened out of their skulls because of this, because they figured, well, it could happen to the sheets, it could happen to us. So I was trying to figure out, how could that happen? What it does is to solidify part of the atmosphere into what we call a psychic knife. And it's so sharp that it can actually cut the sheets or the blankets or whatever. I received slashes on my arms from such psychic knives.
This home that Ed is referring to, it's a case that we have been involved in over a period of the last 8 months, or 8 weeks, I'm sorry. And we have gotten many photographs, psychic photographs and like that in the home. But it appears to be your typical poltergeist home where you have the slashing and all taking place. But in reality, it really is not. There is so much involved with the case that it is far more, it leans more towards the diabolical than it does really towards poltergeist phenomena. But again, and I should have a chance to bring it up, it all started through the use of a Ouija board.
Oh yeah, I remember in this article you say beware, don't use Ouija boards. I mean,
Never.
stay away.
It's not the Ouija board, it's the communication that you're doing with the Ouija board. You are in essence saying, I want to communicate with spirits. You don't know what kind of spirits are coming in, you know. About 7 out of 10 cases into the New England Society of Psychic Research is because of the Ouija board. And do you know where the Ouija board is manufactured? Tell me
No.
where the Ouija board is manufactured.
I read it and I forgot, sorry.
Well, Parker Brothers, right? But Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
But they continually used it. A mother and two sisters and a mother. One of the sisters was married, and they continually used the Ouija board over a period of time. But it doesn't matter if it's continuous use or if it's just something that just happens.
Now,
you
when
heard
you, no, I haven't, but when you call these spirits in through using this board,
That's an open invitation.
how do you ever get rid of them?
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part.
That's the very hardest part, is to get rid of them. You can invite them in. It's the easiest thing in the world. We could take this table right here, take an upside down glass, take a magic marker, write letters and numbers on there, and communicate. Foolish. That would really,
I've
really
seen
be.
some of the results of people who have delved into Ouija board sessions. One young girl, 13 years old, always stands out in my mind. She was communicating with her 10-year-old cousin. They lived in Oxford. And one night they got a spirit on the board that said it was an 18-year-old boy that had been killed by the police in a rape attempt. That was a lie. It was what we refer to as an incubus. An incubus is a spirit that's inhuman, diabolical, has never walked the earth. But it attacks the female physically and sexually. You can, for a moment, and I know you can't, imagine a monster entering your home, eating you physically, raping you, sodomizing you for hours. You have a bad idea of an incubus attack. And that's what this girl was dealing with. If you're really a spirit, prove it. She wanted physical proof. Put out a, move something, show yourself. I will not come now, but I will later. That was the message. It was wait for psychic hours, nights. 9 to 6 is when you have most of your hauntings. Midnight is called the witch's hour. 3 o'clock is called the devil's hour. Why, Miggs? Because anything that brings you insults the Trinity.
Oh, yeah.
See, we go into the area of demonology
Yeah.
here.
Now-
Okay, so this girl wanted, so she goes to bed. Father goes off to work. The mother's working in the kitchen on the night shift. All of a sudden, she hears screams coming from the bedroom. She runs into the bedroom, thrashing about, yelling her head off. That something has gotten into bed with her and it's hurting her with its hands. Said, no more Ouija boards, no more talk about spirits and ghosts. You've had a nightmare. Well, in a way, the mother was right. She did nightmare. Nightmare is an old medieval word. It means night devil. And that girl had a devil in her room that night. The mother starts backlighting on for the girl to go back. The girl is screaming again. She runs in this time. Now she feels cold. That's like there is a terrible stench of something dead, something rotting. Now she's frightened. She said that she could feel tremendous evil in that room. She takes the girl, brings her into her bedroom, and calls the father to come right home from work. But before the father comes home from work, there's a sensation like an animal, a dog or something, running around the room, jumping off the bed. The Bible is being read by the mother, the family Bible is. It's torn out of her hands, it hit the wall, hits like a bunch of confetti. You can't believe that, and you can't believe that, and most of your viewers can't believe it. But we have the proof, we have the film, we have the recordings, we have eyewitness. You know, when people say, well, you know, it's all in their mind.
It says here that on August 23rd, 2006, and I want to say his death anniversary was yesterday, so a big shout out to him and all of the work that he has done. And, you know, if no one else have, I don't mind helping you to keep your name alive in the most positive limelight as possible, because you both deserve it. But yes, so he was 79 years old at the time of his death. What tripped me out, y'all, was that it says that this was after he allegedly collapsed in 2001. allegedly collapsed. What does that even mean? Like, what did he collapse from? There's no type of information on this. And so it says when he was opening the door to let his cat in, even though the paramedics were able to restart his heart, he continued to be in a coma for 11 weeks. Okay, so what stuck out to me within this article was the fact that he collapsed while opening the door to let his cat in. As you guys know, we have shapeshifters out here. Shapeshifters that shapeshift themselves into different animals and things like that. I feel that at the time he could have thought that he was letting his cat in, but at the time really had let in something that led to his death. Not only that, but in the freaking video, it literally speaks on how he was saying how one of the cases that they had, they could hear like an animal running around in their bedroom and stuff. Okay. But yeah, like this type of stuff is so interesting to me, y'all, like for real. But basically saying that he had a strong willpower to want to live, but he didn't make it. So after, I'm guessing, the 11 weeks of him being in a coma, he passed. It said that Lorraine Warren passed away in her sleep. I strongly feel that these two passed away from paranormal attacks. They passed away from entity attacks. They had been dealing with this type of stuff for so long, and they had been exposing these type of people. And I feel that around the time that they felt that they were okay to like let their guard down, at that point I feel that they may have, their spiritual protection may have been weakened before their deaths in some type of way. I'm pretty sure they were being heavily psychically attacked. Not only that, but Lorraine tells me things about the same entity that it has tried to latch itself onto my family lineage, and how it kind of followed her throughout her entire career to try to stop her from the works that she was supposed to have been doing. Because again, they exposed so much stuff, you guys. And one of the main things that used to stick out to me as well, and I used to say this to people, if you ever think about it, why do people out of nowhere snap and kill their kids? Why do people out of nowhere snap and kill their entire family? No logical human, no matter what pressure you are under, goes and say that I'm going to kill my entire family. Even when it comes to serial killers, what in the brain wires you to want to go on a killing spree to killing numerous of people? Children, women, men, it doesn't matter. I solely believe that these type of attacks is connected to spiritual entities possessing people to then create filth within the world. A lot of times when these parents snap and kill their children, I feel that they were under major psychic warfare, and to the point where they allowed the entity to attach itself to them and then complete out what it is they wanted to do in the first place. And so I feel like we need to be very mindful at this time of things like that. If you feel that your kids are like acting out of the norm or not usual, or if you are out of the norm and don't feel like yourself, if you feel like things have been like a lot heavier on you than what it should be or normally is, it is important to get your spiritual protection up at this time, because again, I strongly feel that we are in the end times to the new beginning. And so this earth has to cleanse itself. Now, when I was coding, you guys, some of the things that stuck out to me was Heaven's Doors, The Red Shoes, Moon Ritual, Firmament Gods, The White Man, and Let It Happen. And so what I took from this, when it comes to the red shoes, I actually posted a video on my TikTok about the red shoes, and I will drop that video as well for you guys.
نزلي خالص في حالك في حالك نزلي ولا تفضل جوا بس ترى المفروض ما تصور شوفي الرفعات يعني ترى احنا بشر مو حيوانات ده خلاص ده روح
There was a group of people called the Basques, and these people were originated in European ethnic groups, apparently, and these people have the strong bloodline of the Rh negative, which is the most purest bloodline that there is. I strongly feel that at some point, where is it? I strongly feel that at some point, these people kind of took our DNA and decided to create their own bloodline. So then they can try to like overpopulate us in a sense and kind of kill off our bloodline lineage as well. Much respect to these people because they keep their bloodline pure and they only mate with other beings that have the Rh negative bloodline. And I am going to link a video on the Rh negative and just what it ties into and where they say that it originated from.
The people that occupy this isolated region are known as the Basque, and they have long confounded anthropologists and historians. The language spoken by the enclave is not related to any other in that part of the world. And the population also has the highest concentration of Rh negative blood type in the world.
Up to 35% of Basque people have Rh negative blood. And Rh negative blood is one of the most unusual blood types. And it's the one blood type that is least likely to mutate or interact with other blood types.
Human blood types are grouped into 4 distinct designations that include O, A, B, and AB. Additionally, there is another variance between blood types known as the Rh factor, or rhesus factor, which is a measure of rhesus-based antigens in the blood. 85% of humans in the world are Rh positive and have no issues receiving blood from positive or negative donors. But for the Rh negative population, receiving Rh positive blood may be fatal, as the body will try to destroy the foreign antigens. And for women that are Rh negative, mating with an Rh positive partner could be detrimental to the fetus.
The very fact that an Rh negative mother, her body would actually try to kill an Rh positive baby generates bizarre scenarios. How on earth could this happen? It suggests somewhere in our lineage that the Rh negatives and the Rh positives are perceived as being profoundly different. And also, studies of Rh negatives suggest that they have lower than normal blood pressure, lower than normal pulse. In a number of cases, they have an extra vertebra in their back.
Rh negative is very rare. Most of the world didn't have it until colonization started in the 15th century. Rh negative didn't exist in the Americas, that it didn't exist in Southern Africa, it didn't exist in Asia. It was only in Europe, so it spread out from there. Out of Africa, that theory has it that all human beings originated in Africa, Southern Africa, Sub-Sahara. They're all Rh positive. They don't have any Rh negative. Where did Rh negative evolve then?
15% of the humans have Rh negative blood. 15%. And scientists have no idea where it came from. What they do believe is that if you have that, you may have been evolved from a different kind of species on this planet. Now, was that species put here, genetically altered, or was it just a natural formation of the planet in its evolutionary stage? Who knows? But the fact is that Rh negative people, and again, there's 15% of them on this planet, may have come from outside sources.
Could the Rh negative blood type offer evidence of a vastly different pre-human evolution than what we are led to believe in our history books? Might it offer indisputable proof of extraterrestrial intervention in the remote past? But if so, is the experimentation with intelligent hominin over, or is it still taking place?
I like how they tied into as well the twin soul aspect of it, because, you know, that ties into the bloodline as well with the 144,000 that was spoken about in the Bible that will return and restore everything back to the people. If you guys want to pause and like read into this, you can. Okay, so this is something that I had kind of got off Facebook. It is very informative, so I kind of just wanted to tap into it in the marriage event of bloodline as well. So basically, the 13 bloodlines is where the Antichrist comes from. This bloodline believes that it has both the holy blood of Jesus and the blood or seed of Satan in its bloodline. It also begins to speak on how the 13 bloodlines have kept itself a secret. Basically, this bloodline is so extensive in its many branches that its memberships taken in many of the presidents of the United States, including George Bush and George Washington. It's funny that they mentioned George Bush and he was in the coding earlier. And like I said, the video that I linked as far as with the red shoes, we can see from studying in the genealogies of Mormon presidents that all of the Mormon presidents in history, rather RLDS or LDS, trace their blood back to the 13 bloodlines. Within the Illuminati rituals, the emphasis of the 13 bloodlines is that they are the seeds of Satan. As their secret story goes, they are the direct descendants of Jesus' spiritual brother Lucifer. And if you guys don't know, if you type in Jesus and Satan, it actually means the exact same thing in the coding. Since the Freeman family and the Rothschild family have members who are also in the 13 bloodline, it is unclear to me how interwoven the seed of Satan is. Some of the earliest attempts to trace the seed of Satan were some books in which did extensive research on the tribe of Dan and the descendants of Cain. The descendants of Cain is where the bloodline splits, basically. And remember, I told you guys I felt like they did work to kind of, you know, create their own bloodline to then take over. Like, what type of sick shit? From evil and good duality. Basically, from evil and good duality, you cannot, this is my wording. From evil and good duality, you cannot have one without the other. So it's like kind of the way that the universe works in a sense. I feel. My theory on it is that they genetically altered the royal bloodline to then create their own bloodline to birth the Antichrist. Because, again, they knew at some point that the Christ would be reborn And I feel that that is in many different ways. I feel that the Messiah is going to come back and he will rule again within our generation. Not only that, but I feel that Christ is a consciousness. It's not necessarily a person that you go and worship. It also speaks on how it speaks on Babylon and Egypt. And the bloodlines of the Illuminati go back to the people who at one time lived in Babylon and in Egypt. It goes back to basically the 13 families. And their whole goal was basically to bring the Antichrist above. The tribe of Dan was prophesied to be the black sheep of the nation of Israel, which would bite the other tribes of Israel. The tribe of Dan had the snake and the eagle as its two logos. The tribe of Dan left its calling card all over Europe, and it migrated west in the name of many places. The tribe of Dan ruled the Greek, the Roman Empire, and basically they go on to speak on how basically go on to say how the British royal family have long been involved in the occult as well. Now this is the bloodline I was talking about, the Mirjavani, I think, or something like that bloodline, where she is a part of the 13 bloodlines who rule the family. And as we all know who she is, this woman is, I believe, of course, tied as well to a lot of these celebrity deaths. We know that she has tie-ins with Jay-Z and Beyonce as well. She's spotted with Jay-Z a lot. Not only that, but I wanted you guys to understand the significance of what is going on right now. If you look how Genesis in New York is literally in sequence with each other. If you look at English original, Genesis is tied to the reverse original of New York. And vice versa as far as with the 11:11. You got 78, 78, 11:11. And then you have the reverse full reduction of both is 33, 33, and 39, 39. So the numbers are adding up. This should honestly scare people. And as we know that Genesis basically speaks on the fall of Adam and Eve and how God once flooded the earth. And as we know, he also destroyed Babylon. And as we know, they rebuilt themselves back up. And he said that he will come to destroy it for the final time again. So if New York is tying into Genesis, what do you think is about to happen to New York? I feel that anyone who is in New York, anywhere near this area, should get out at some point. It is important for you to get out because this stuff is real and it is happening. They just rebuilt the new Babylon up in New York, which is why it has so much negative energy surrounding New York. So much negative energy. Anybody who lives in New York, I'm pretty sure you're able to vouch for this. Not only that, but whenever I went to type in Babylon, right? And Babylon equaled up to 71. So then I turned around and put in 71 into the calculator to see what it would add up to, and why does it say New York City? So obviously Babylon is New York City is the new Babylon. And again, that should be a little scary for people. It also typed into Monkey Book. There is a book out. There is a book about the Rh negative bloodline. Not only that, but one of my favorite movies that I like to refer to, and it's funny how they mentioned this in here, was Prometheus. Again, we talk about the Anunnaki and how they were the original the first race to come down to Earth and recreated a bloodline. I'm going to link down a trailer so that you guys can see. And if you peep, they have pale blue skin. And what did they talk about in here? How the people who came to recreate or who created the first civilization of humans, they had pale skin. And so they put this stuff right in our faces, you guys. They really do. And it speaks a little bit about Prometheus and how he created the humanity from clay, basically. He is known for his intelligence and is also generally seen as the author of the human arts and science. He is known best for defying the gods by stealing fire from them and giving it to humanity in the form of technology, knowledge, and more. Now, again, I don't know if you guys know about this, but they also have exposed how they did a contract with the Greys at a point in time to basically take humans in return for knowledge and technology, ancient civil technology and stuff. If nobody knows this as well, this is where the whole theory of the Holocaust comes from as well. People view Hitler as like this dictator type of guy, and in reality he was just a puppet for them. He was actually harvesting these people and feeding them to the alien races and allowing them to do experiments on them and things like this. Hitler also owned UFOs. I guess maybe make a part 2 to this to tap into this like a little more, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yes, he is linked and tied to a race that looked like humans and had blue eyes and blonde hair, which is where he got the if you did not have blue eyes and blonde hair that you would be taken. These beings came down and basically decided to trade with our government, our presidents, who again is tied to the 13 bloodlines, who then ties back to because they spoke about how Genesis they talk about the book of Enoch, or they talk about Enoch. We all know that Enoch speaks on the Netherlands, and how not the Netherlands, the Nephilims or some shit like that, y'all, one of them. and how the giants basically, you know, came down and made it with the humans and things like that. So again, it's like everything always links back to each other. Everything always links back to each other, and everything always links back to these people. You know, it's just that you gotta open your eyes and pay attention to what's actually going on in this world, because shit is actually getting really crazy. And like I said, I will make a part 2 tying more deeper into this. I feel like this was like some type of rant, low-key. Like, you know, I honestly just like to code, and, you know, I do this on my own. So I just feel it's time to just start getting this information out here and sharing it with others as well. And so I hope that in some way or form that this made sense, and that this also like helps you guys in a way. So yeah, again, don't forget to remember to cleanse your energy.